Orecchiette are a simple but very impressive pasta to make. They only need 2 ingredients, and one of those ingredients is water. Let me show you how to make them. You need 400 grams, just under 2.5 cups of semola flour. It's really important to use semola flour, not semolina, for this recipe. It's made from durum wheat and it's double ground so that it's extra fine. This allows the dough to come together and be really smooth. If you use semolina, your dough will be gritty and it won't hold together. There are no substitutions for semola in this recipe. If you can't find it in one of your local supermarkets, you can probably find it in one of your local Italian specialty shops. Pour it onto your work surface. And just like you would with any normal pasta, make a well in the middle. Now add in 185 grams, 3/4 cups plus 1 tablespoon of warm water. I add the water in slowly because every flour is slightly different, so this one might require a little bit less or a little bit more. With a fork, gently bring in the flour from the edges of the inside of the circle. You'll slowly start to incorporate them together. This helps to also prevent any lumps. If you do end up adding too much water, just add in a little bit more flour to get the right consistency. Once your dough comes to a thick paste, you can remove the fork and start using your hands or a bench scraper to bring the dough together. You can also add the flour to a food processor and drizzle in the water if you want to make this process quicker. It might feel like there's too much flour at this point. Keep mixing, it will come together. And at the very end, if you need to add a little bit more water, you can. Sometimes you just need to trust the process. If your dough's looking a little bit dimply and shaggy like this, that's exactly what we want, but you can see it's absorbed all of that flour. We're going to cover this up and let it rest for 10 minutes so that liquid can really do its job and start creating the glutens in the pasta. After 10 minutes, your flour will have absorbed the water and it's a little bit softer. We're going to knead it again for another few minutes until the surface is nice and smooth. You can already feel a difference in your dough. It's much softer and already feels silky under your hands. Whenever I'm kneading dough like this, I like to start at the top of the dough, push it away and bring it back on itself, and then continue to do that process until you get all the way to the end of the dough. Then turn it around and start again. Another method of kneading is to go back and forth in a crisscross with your hands. Find what works best for you and stick with it. You can already tell the texture of the dough has changed a lot, but we're not quite there yet. We're going to keep going for another few minutes. I never add salt to my pasta dough because the salt crystals can actually rip through the pasta when you're forming them. For me, the salt always goes in the water. And get your family involved. Some of my favorite memories are making pasta with my nonna and my parents. Our dough is now nice and smooth, but you can tell when you press into it that it really springs back quickly. We want this pasta to be delicate and tender, so we're going to rest this for at least 30 minutes or up to 3 hours. That will help the glutens to settle in the dough and you'll have a nice, tender, soft pasta. When your dough is rested, it will hold a dimple when you press into it, like this. You can work with as much or as little of the dough as you want at a time, but if you're new to this, I'd suggest cutting off a small piece and just covering up the rest of your dough so that it doesn't dry out. Look how beautiful and smooth that is. We're now going to roll this piece of dough into a log about the size of a finger. It's always a good idea when you've got your log about this size to work from the middle and roll out. That way it stays nice and even and you don't get any big lumps of dough. It's kind of like making gnocchi, but the dough is much more stiff. Once your log is at the right thickness, you're going to start cutting off small pieces, about 1 centimeter long or 0.2 inches. If your piece is slightly oblong, just roll it in a little ball, like this. It just helps to give a little bit more of an even shape. This dough isn't very sticky, so you need to press quite firmly with the back of your knife while you're making the orecchiette. So press down really firmly and then pull towards you, letting the dough curl up over the back of the knife. Turn your orecchiette inside out with a finger, and it's ready. A great tip if you have long fingernails for turning your orecchiette out is using a chopstick or the back of a spoon. This allows you to create the shape that we're looking for and get that perfect dimple without poking a hole with your fingernails. Place your finished orecchiette onto a baking sheet that you've dusted with some of the semola flour. If you're making your orecchiette to put into a soup or you want them to be a little bit more delicate, you can make these pieces of dough smaller. Orecchiette means little ears because they kind of look like a little ear. And the great thing about this pasta is the little dimple holds on to so much sauce. Don't worry if the pasta tears. You can just roll it back up into a ball and re-scrape it. This recipe feeds about 4 to 6 people. To cook this pasta, set a large pot of water to boil. Make sure it's salted really well. Remember, we haven't added any salt to our pasta dough. Then cook the orecchiette for around 2 to 3 minutes until they rise up to the top. And if you're looking for a traditional sauce to go with these orecchiette, stay tuned because I have a video coming up very soon. There are a few ways to store this pasta. You could freeze it on its tray and then once frozen, pop them in a bag. Keep them in the freezer for up to 3 months. They may take a little longer to cook from frozen. Or you could use a dehydrator and dehydrate them. But even easier than that is letting them rest on their tray for around 24 to 48 hours, depending on the humidity of where you live. You'll know they're dry when you pick them up and you can actually snap them in half without any softness in the dough. Then store them in a jar with a food-safe silica gel packet. They'll last on your shelf for 3 to 4 months. If you'd like to continue your pasta making journey, why not try my tagliatelle recipe? And if you liked this video, please head down below and hit the like button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.